Story 1. A Datura trip report. I took the Datura seeds. About an hour later, I got up confused, not knowing where I was or who I was. I was trying to text people on Reddit from my comments. I couldn't read or anything. I remember looking up and seeing a hanging man swinging like a GIF. Every time I looked away and back, it would restart. Then I stopped and blacked out. My father was screaming, and I couldn't understand. But I remember the walls turned brown, and everything was a brown world. I couldn't tell what was real or fake. The faces in the walls would say things to me like, "Unalive yourself or die." I felt drunk, very drunk, and I puked everywhere. I think it was blood, though, from the state I was in. I have no idea. I saw lots of distorted people walking around in my home, speaking and screaming at me. I was scared because I didn't know if they were going to attack me or not. Finally, I blacked out once again, waking up to my father driving me somewhere. All I remember is the word hospital. I can't imagine what I put him through. I remember I couldn't see anything throughout the window, just blackness. Then I looked down and saw a little man running across the car floor. I kept laughing, thinking it was funny, but then I saw this entity. I'm not sure if anyone else has seen this, but it was a demon dog like from Call of Duty Zombies. But it was sitting in the front seat, growling at my father like it didn't want me to live. It wanted to see me die. I recall smoking a lot of cigarettes too during the trip. Again, I couldn't tell what was real or not. As we got to the hospital, I immediately blacked out. I was in the bed when I woke up in another dimension. I saw thousands upon thousands of unalive bodies stacked up on one and another going through into the sky. Screaming, lots of bloody screams, and blood was stained onto the walls of brownness. And that's really all I recall until I woke up with a horrid headache and the doctors telling me I'll be okay. If you want to try this evil thing, don't. I'm only 17 and ruined my whole life because I wanted to try this plant. I have no friends now, and nobody is here for me. I'm so alone and I'm so done. I wish someone would have unalived me, but I have my family and that's all that matters. Please do not again do this drug. It's not worth it. Thank you for reading. God bless. Story 2. DPH trip report 600 milligrams. I downed around 600 millis of DPH, losing track after all the pills. There seemed to be more visuals than ever, with the ceiling moving and the light on it shifting. The body load kicked in, and at first I was having fun, but soon everything spiraled out of control. My body felt impossibly uncomfortable, especially my arms. I kept thinking people were talking to me, and I kept responding to them. Bugs seemed to be crawling around my blanket, and I constantly felt like there was a bug on my back. The visuals intensified, overtaking my vision. It looked like my sight was glitching and flickering. I found a speck and watched it crawl while staying in place. When I looked closer, I could have sworn it was a bug, but it was just a speck. I felt like I was losing my mind, not knowing where I was. People appeared in the corners of my eyes and paranoia set in. I heard knocking and police sirens, but I knew they weren't real. Faces emerged in everything I looked at, and the Hatman lurked in the corner. Everything was dark and flickering, making it difficult to stay awake. Fear gripped me when I saw an outline of a giant tarantula crawling on my ceiling. Panic ensued as I couldn't trust my eyes or brain. I was tripping hard, seeing hands coming out from under the door in my blanket. People seemed to stand around me, disappearing when I looked through my camera, but always there, laughing at me. I tried to sleep, but the voices grew louder, whispering nonsense in my ear. I desperately wanted it to be over and decided to try sleeping again. Story 3. So I decided to take 400 milligrams DPH and I took 500 milligrams psilocybin to add to the experience. Biggest mistake ever. I popped the DPH in my room in the dark. 45 minutes in, I feel this sense of impending doom. I felt very uneasy, as if something bad was about to happen. I regret taking the pills. I was on my phone at this point. About an hour and 15 minutes in, I hear banging noises, knocking noises, footsteps. I turned on the flashlight on my phone to see what's happening and tried to get out of bed, but I felt so heavy, it didn't feel safe walking because I might fall. I see 2 big spiders on the door of the room across from me. I'm not really afraid of spiders, so this didn't bother me, but I felt some kind of paranormal presence. At this point, I'm completely unable to read my phone. My vision is so blurry so I can't read the time. Out of the corner of my eye, I see a ghost, about 5 feet tall with a white dress, standing in the hallway looking at me. I turned and looked directly at it and it vanished. At this point, I'm a little scared, but soon I was about to see the most terrifying hallucination. I look into the hallway and I see a demonic-looking face staring at me through the door of that room. I can't describe what it looked like, but it looked like Jeff the Killer. This whole time, I'm also having auditory hallucinations of banging, knocking, footsteps, etc. I look at the foot of my bed and see a 8-foot-tall shadow figure float towards me. I'm paralyzed with fear at this point. I shine the flashlight right on it and it fades away. The next hallucination is why I'm fucking scarred for life. All my senses were heightened times 10. I touched my arm, and the warmth from my hand felt like my arm was on fire. I hear something outside my room and see the tip of a knife start moving around the corner. From my POV, I'm looking through the doorway right outside my room. The knife moves around the corner until I can see the whole knife, and there is a hand holding it. I don't see the arm or body of whatever is holding it because it is on the other side of the wall. Next, the knife and hand disappear. About 5 seconds later, the same face from earlier peeks around the corner at me and stares me down, smiling the whole time. It looked like Jeff the Killer. I was having a staring contest with this entity. I was bracing for impact. Any second now and I will be stabbed to death. Then the face disappeared. I was so scared I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I figured if I turn off my flashlight and couldn't see these things, they couldn't bother me. I was wrong. It was 2 times scarier with the flashlight off in pitch darkness. I kept telling myself this isn't real, but my brain wouldn't register. Now, in complete darkness, I can hear these things around me, footsteps and banging. I can sense I'm being watched. I thought any second now I'm gonna get got. You know, in horror movies when it's tense and you are bracing for a jump scare? Imagine that times 100. To make things worse, I was stuck in a time loop while this was happening. It felt like it would never end. It felt like days on end. Of this feeling of I'm about to be killed, I was hoping they would just get it over with already. I was so scared I wanted to die. I think I have PTSD now from this experience.